So when you think about the challenges that we face in our great city, whether it's around climate change or it's around affordable housing or public health, those challenges are not going to be solved by any one organization or sector. We really need the best and brightest inside and outside of City Hall, working hand in hand, collaborating on these issues. So my office has been thinking and experimenting with new partnership models, and I'm going to share 3 different partnership models that bring in new capacities into government, new ideas and new methodologies to help us become more responsive, effective, and efficient. The first model I want to share with you is around data. So Rick talked quite a bit about data, but something surprising and interesting happens when you unlock government data and put it in the hands of entrepreneurs or in the hands of our community. They build new products and services. They start collaborating with government. They have more insight into how government operates. They can hold us more accountable. And I want to share with you some of the work that's being done. But before I start there, I just want to mention that I think that there's something really powerful about data and the fact that it can be a medium for civic engagement. It's really a new channel that we haven't had before us. And so over the past 5 years, we've been really looking at how do we partner with our entrepreneurs, with our community on building these products. So the first example is really simple, but something that would have been really challenging for us to build, but it's a map of city services that have been requested in some of the hotspots. And this was done in a matter of weeks, not months, with a big RFP around it. And all of this work that you're going to see before us is not being paid by taxpayer dollars at all. So these are companies or entrepreneurs or civic hackers building these products. The next one, and many of you use this application, others like it, it's transportation apps. And they are getting data from our MTA, real-time data about where our buses are, so you can know when the next bus is coming and grab that cup of coffee. This is from one of our organizations within MTA, SF Park. They have real-time sensors in parking spots so that they can do demand-based pricing, but also let you know where there's availability. The last example I want to share with you is a partnership we had with Yelp, where we were sharing restaurant health scores and violations. Previously, it was in an Access database and 15 clicks to get there, so you had to be really motivated to get this information. And so through this partnership, whether it's your mobile or you're on desktop, when you're thinking about where to dine, you sort of have an insight into how they're performing, what those violations are, and you can choose where to dine based on that information, improving public health and safety and giving some great value to our citizens. But we went beyond that. We didn't just share the data with Yelp. We shared it with everybody, but we also established a data standard. And that's important if you, as an entrepreneur, want to scale. The data might be from San Francisco, but if it's coming from New York in a different format and Austin from a different format, it's really challenging. And so now dozens of cities have adopted this standard and can share their data with Yelp and make that available to their communities. So through this, we've been experimenting and learning, and we're looking at institutionalizing data and open data in our city. And through legislation, one of the first in the country, we created the position of a chief data officer. Her name is Joy Bonagura, a very talented woman who sits in the mayor's office and is working on developing a data catalog and actually has released it recently. The first of its kind in the country. It's a catalog of all of our data assets that we manage, thousands of data assets, whether it's a spreadsheet or even a mainframe system. So you and the public, whether you're an entrepreneur or a business or an individual, you have insight into all of the data that we manage, and you can start asking for that data to be released publicly. So the first of its kind in the country. The last, and I think really important when you think about culture change, is around data coordinators. So these individuals in each of our 60-some agencies, their responsibility is not only to sort of manage the legislation and make sure that we're following the legislation, but really to be the stewards and to help drive culture change so that we're thinking about using data in our decision making. The next partnership model that I want to share with you is around cross-sector leadership. And it's a very simple concept. Let's bring some very talented people from our business community and other communities to do a tour of duty in government for 1 year and have them tackle high-impact areas and see what we can do with that. And the inspiration from this came with a partnership we had with an organization called Code for America, a nonprofit, that brings in technologists to spend a year in government building products and services. And so we were inspired by that and asked ourselves, can we do the same thing in other areas? Can we bring in experts in policy and finance and developing strategies for our city? And so with that, we worked with a local nonprofit called FuseCore that recruits people from other sectors, mid-career folks who are VPs and C-level folks, to spend 1 year in government and to bring them in the mayor's office or into governor's offices. And so I want to sort of bring this to life a little bit by sharing an example of an individual. Her name is Rebecca Foster. She's currently in the mayor's office as an advisor on innovative financing. But she came to us through Goldman Sachs. She'd been there several years doing large-scale public financing. And she took a huge pay cut, as you can imagine, to do this fellowship. And I think she found this so rewarding and such an ability to make impact locally that she's decided to stay on. And so that's been really an inspiration for us to build this program out and the impact that she's made. And so with our partners in city government, we've been building this program out, and we've taken a challenge-based approach where we're asking our department heads and agencies to identify high-impact opportunities and why they're well-suited to taking on a fellow. And so we've gone from 2 fellows to now 7 fellows, and I'm really excited. We're looking for talented people to join the fellowship, so if you know people in your network, please send them to FuseCore, and they can apply for these opportunities. And our hope is that these individuals are going to drive culture change in our organization, not only solving these problems, but inspiring their colleagues and getting them to think differently, bringing their networks, their resources, to really making government more effective and responsive. The last program I'm going to share with you is called Startup in Residence. Again, a really simple concept. Let's bring startups, those companies that have transformed and disrupted so many other industries, not government yet, let's invite them and embed them in government for 16 weeks, working hand in hand with dedicated teams in government on building new products and services around specific issues. And so when we launched this, we had no sense of what kind of response this would be. This is a voluntary program. We had no stipend, no sort of commercial opportunity here. And we were amazed by the response. We had nearly 200 startups from 25 cities and countries respond to this ask. And with our department heads, we selected 6 of these startups to work with us over 16 weeks. And one of the things that I discovered through this process of asking them why did they apply for this program, there was 2 things that came about. One is that they really wanted to make change. They wanted to build products and services that had value and impact in their society. And second, they saw this was a huge commercial opportunity. Government is one of the largest spenders on technology, and yet we don't have this rich ecosystem of entrepreneurs. So some of the examples of our agencies that are working with these startups, our transit agency at Riskin's here today, our police department, planning department, SFO, Department of Emergency Management, public health. They're working with really innovative companies solving specific issues that these agencies have defined. In addition, we provided support for these entrepreneurs. We provided them training about what is government? How does it operate? What is an RFP? Who's your economic buyer? Resources that are not available. If you think about it, there's plenty of resources, incubators, and accelerators for startups, but there's nothing really telling them how to work with government. So we want to demystify that and make government much more accessible. I'm going to share with you an example, again, to sort of bring this to life. There's a video of SFO working with a company called Indoors from Vienna, Austria, where they're actually flying their founders back and forth on their own dime to partner with us and really learn about the challenges around indoor navigation. So take a look.
Navigating through an airport can be tough for anyone. And for visually impaired passengers, there are some special challenges. But now there's a solution. The San Francisco Mayor's Office of Civic Innovation has paired SFO with Indoors, a technology company specializing in indoor navigation, to develop a mobile application to allow visually impaired passengers to travel through the airport more easily. With the help of these electronic beacons located throughout the terminal, a passenger can use the mobile application to find points of interest located in their general proximity, starting at the terminal entrance, all the way to the gate, and at the baggage claim when you return to SFO. Using the accessibility feature of the phone, these points of interest can be recited back to the passenger as they walk through Terminal 2 at SFO. This is made possible by the beacons installed throughout the terminal. Each beacon broadcasts a unique signal, and the phone picks up signals from multiple beacons to establish its location, advising the passenger about what is nearby.
Compass books 5 o'clock 31 feet.
The phone app will tell a passenger when they're near a restaurant, a water fountain, even an electrical outlet. One of the challenges for our project team was to complete a working prototype within 16 weeks. With input from Lighthouse for the Blind, SFO and Indoors gathered the requirements to build this mobile application with priority on accessibility. While the application was being built, the SFO team was responsible for getting the points of interest into the system. The beacons were strategically placed to blend in with the environment and to provide adequate signal coverage at the same time. The entire terminal was scanned to map the beacon transmissions. Finally, the system was configured and users could test the mobile application. By the way, this application can be used by sighted passengers, and eventually a language translation feature will be added for our international passengers traveling through SFO. Happy travels from SFO.
So what did we learn from this engagement with all of these startups? There's a few things that I want to share with you. One is that entrepreneurs are really hungry to work with government. We just have to give them the opportunity. We have to lower the barriers of entry and reduce the friction around that. Second, prototyping is the new RFI. And by that, what I mean is that by actually doing, you can learn so much instead of just going through a stilted, constrained process around documents, one-way documents from vendors. Really learning about the problem space and the solution space. And you can see happened at SFO, they learned so much that's informing their RFP about what a solution might look like. And last, and I think most importantly, is that government staff are the real entrepreneurs here. If you give them the opportunity and space, they'll use their ingenuity and their creativity to build new services and products. When you think about 16 weeks, not a very long time, but our government staff helped procure those beacons. They used union staff to install them and shared all of that tremendous detailed information with that startup. So just really powerful. So where are we going next with this program? We received a grant from the Department of Commerce to scale this program out. So we're partnering regionally with Oakland, San Leandro, West Sacramento as a single cohort, and that was very intentional. We're an iconic city and we have a great brand, and so we attract a lot of great talent. But by forming this partnership, we can drive entrepreneurs to places like San Leandro and West Sacramento, benefiting sort of the broader ecosystem. So this is not just about San Francisco. This is about bringing entrepreneurs broadly into the public sector. We're also developing a network. Amsterdam is launching a very similar program, and many other cities from across the globe are taking the same playbook and replicating in their own cities. So if there's interest in learning about this program or any of the other programs that I mentioned, please go to bit.ly/SFMoki to learn more.